Hello, welcome to People Not Politics with candidate for mayor Gina Montoya Ortega. My name is Rusty Pierce and I'm hosting this episode titled How to Make Las Cruces Family Friendly. How are you doing today, Gina?
Good, Rusty. Thanks. How are you?
Good. So like I said, we're going to talk about how to make Las Cruces family friendly. But before we do that, early voting starts October 8th, which is right around the corner. And I wanted to talk a little bit about something new that's happening in Las Cruces, and that's called ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is essentially a majority vote. You have to have a majority vote to win. That means not a plurality. So 35% for a candidate is not sufficient to win. They want 50% plus 1 to win. That's called a majority vote. That's the difference between a majority and a plurality. So in this particular case, in this election, you will have the ability to choose from 10 different candidates and you will have the ability to rank them. What we're asking is that you rank Gina Montoya Ortega as your number one choice. Then you can vote. If she does not win, you have other chances and other people that you can vote for, and you would rank those second, third, fourth, fifth, and so far down the list. There's a couple things to be careful about, though, and that's what we call overvote. Many people want to go in and vote Gina, 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 all the way across for the number 1, their number 2, their number 3, 4, and so forth, all the way down to number 10. That way there's no confusion. That's what we call an overvote, and that vote will be tossed out. So do not do that. Just vote for one person for one rank, and that's it. All right, so we're going to talk about being a family-friendly city today. So talk to me a little bit about your platform on how we make Las Cruces a family-friendly city.
Okay, so once again, my name is Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. Mi nombre es Gina Eugenia Montoya Ortega y estoy corriendo por alcaldesa de la ciudad de Las Cruces. How we are going to make Las Cruces family-friendly. So currently, Las Cruces does not have anything for young families or grandparents that are interested in taking their grandchildren to go bowling, for example. I have a 6-year-old grandbaby and a 2-year-old grandbaby, and we would love to take them to do stuff. We occasionally get to watch them. When our son-in-law and daughter are moonlighting, they work to make ends meet. They have to work extra jobs. So my husband and I, we will have the girls. Well, it would be nice to, take them bowling. We have a movie theater, and they've gone to the movies. But bowling, that's something that most big cities have, or most even small cities have. So as a city of Las Cruces, I'm saying we are not family friendly because there's really nothing for a young family to do or grandparents that want to be engaged with their grandchildren to go do.
Okay, so what are some of the other activities? You said bowling was one. What are some other activities that you would like Las Cruces to have?
Oh, and talking to a lot of people. I've been building my platform and actually talking to people, hearing what they have to say, what they think, what we should do, what we can do. A lot of people are saying, how come we don't have go-karts? How come we don't have a putt-putt golf? When I was a kid, we actually had a putt-putt golf. I don't believe that I ever even had the opportunity to go. I might have maybe gone once because it was something that was a little bit probably more on the pricey side, and I was a child here in Las Cruces that was born and raised into poverty. So unfortunately, I wouldn't have been able to benefit, but that we did have putt-putt. People are talking, how come we don't have a laser tag? Just how come we don't have an arcade? I know, yes, there's a new arcade that opened downtown. However, that arcade is also a bar. And at a certain hour of the day, children or people under the age of 21 are not allowed in. So we need a facility that children are welcome from when you open the doors until when you close the doors.
Okay, so those are some private businesses, not city business or city things that we can do. So last episode we talked about how to make Las Cruces a business-friendly city. Please tune into that episode to figure out how we plan on doing that. So what other, you said splash pads as well in parks I've heard you talk about before, so tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so once again, being, like I said, I was one of those children that was born into poverty in Las Cruces, so putt-putt was probably not going to be an option. There was some go-karts, but yet a free event that a child could go do is the splash pads. Right now in Las Cruces, we know that we have 2 splash pads. There's one in Metro Verde, and there's one in downtown. These are facilities that children can actually go and utilize, and there's no fee for doing so. Our public pools even have a fee, where once again, more than likely a lot of the children aren't able to go because who has $1.75 to go swimming? So we need more splash pads. People that we're talking to, they're like going, I live over here by Lynn Middle School. I live by Young Park. How come I don't have a splash pad? Maybe a lot of young people too are saying, hey, I live over here by the university. How come I don't have a splash pad available to me? So these are facilities or public uses that people could use and at no expense.
And do we have any facilities like that currently?
Like I said, we do have the splash pad in Metro Verde, and we have the splash pad in downtown that are free facilities.
And what about Mearshite and some of the public gyms?
Yeah, so once again, born and raised here in Las Cruces. I played basketball at Mearshite, but yet that's been like a little over 41 years ago. And here it is, 41 years later, and we only still have one public gym. People are asking, why don't we have a YMCA? Why don't we have another Mearshite? Why do we only have one facility? Once again, that just to me showing that we are not family friendly. We are not interested in doing things to help children. A lot of people I've heard, and you don't hear it as much, thank God, but we used to have a lot of people would say, children don't pay taxes and they don't vote. But no, you know what? They're the future. So we need to invest in them. We need to give them opportunities that whether you're a who or what, if you're one of those children that are unable to afford to go, you can still participate in something.
Okay, and what about, I know Lynn Middle School is what they're referring to as a community school now. Are you willing to try to increase that and have more community schools?
Yes, so I know that the City Council is currently talking about that. They are looking to actually make sure that we do have more community schools. So when I become the mayor, I would like to get in there and make sure that we do that. Lynn Middle School, once again, it's an area that's probably more poverty level housing. And so, yes, we have a lot of we have Booker T. Washington, for example, that is probably another poverty level. We have an elementary school up Highway 70 that still is in the city limits that could possibly qualify. So yeah, we have many more schools that I would like to see, more community schools, so people have places that they can go and participate in events that don't cost money.
And what, as mayor or the city council, can you do to help those community schools and to get more of them?
So we actually, as a city, we sit on twice what the state requires. So when we actually go around and hear people from city government say, we don't have enough money, there's not money to do these projects. Well, when the state requires you to sit on a certain coffer, but yet we as a city choose to sit on twice what's required by the state. So we have money. The city has money to utilize programs that can benefit the community. So we need to start looking at spending some of that money that we have, that we're sitting on. When people are suffering and struggling, we need to be able to give the community things to entertain themselves or help themselves, make their life a little bit more happy.
So families don't just include the younger children, families also include the adults that are there as well. So are there leagues and teams? What can we do for the adults, for the family as well?
Yes, so right now we have a lot of young adults or even older adults. Anybody over the age of 18 is considered an adult when the sports leagues happen. And we have them that participate in slow pitch, fast pitch. You don't see a whole lot of that. That's more children under the age of 18. But we have fast pitch girls softball. We have baseball over at Paws Park. And, in talking to people, once again, these fees are really high. I know that when I played, there was a small fee, and obviously because I was one of those children that couldn't afford it. I mean, if I remember right, I think the entry fee was probably per child was maybe like $10, $15, if even that. Nowadays, I mean, to put a team into a league, it's easily $400, $500. Plus, especially on the adult leagues, you actually have to pay the umpires. And that's like an extra, $14 a game. So the fees have gone up, or even if there's a tournament locally at the softball fields or at the baseball fields, talking to a lot of people that their grandchildren play in these sports, and when they go to actually watch this game, there's an entry fee at that gate, and it's $5 a person. Well, you've already paid the entry fee, and if you're one of these parents that are struggling, that you're maybe a single parent, and you're having now to pay for 6 kids or 4 kids to entry fee of $60, that's a lot of money. And now you're to go watch your children play, you have an entry fee at the gate. So these are things that we need to look at. That are these ordinances or fees that we can waiver, or once again, with this money that we're sitting on, that the city sits on twice what's required by the state, this is probably money that we can use if we're that desperate as a city for these funds to charge the public. Well, this is money that the city can afford to pay. These are our taxpayer dollars that we are paying as citizens and residents of Las Cruces. We should be able to utilize that money more to help offset the cost for fees for leagues.
And so what might a reasonable fee be for these different leagues? Or how would we determine what that is?
Well,
did the current city council just pick $50 out of a hat?
Yeah, I believe that these numbers were just numbers that were created. They just felt like, oh, hey, $65 is whatever. Or maybe that's a fee that the city looks at that, we're going to totally put the cost on the parent or on the taxpayer. So to me, what's reasonable? Well, half of $65 is reasonable. So reasonable is something less than what you're already probably paying. We need to look at that to see what do the numbers show.
So we have like the Field of Dreams. We've got many different facilities here in Las Cruces, but they're not utilized frequently. We don't see football games every day or every other day at the Field of Dreams. So what can we do to utilize those more?
So the Field of Dreams is actually through the public schools. So once again, this is now looking at, it's a state facility. Just like the softball fields, those are state facilities. So we'd have to work more doing a partnership with the city and the state to be able to utilize these. And I don't believe as a city we're doing that. We're not working with our state. For example, okay, so people will say, well, to build a new mirror site, that's going to cost a lot of money. Okay, fine. Why aren't we working with the state to actually utilize our schools that we as taxpayers are already paying on? Why can't we have events? Why can't, like you said, why can't we use the Field of Dream for maybe the big, youth football game? Just like growing up, it was such a highlight for the kids that played football at my school to be able to go play at NMSU. Wow, I'm not a college student, but I'm playing the big game at NMSU. Well, the reason they had to do that is they had such a large number of people that would come to the rivalry game of Mayfield and Cruces. Now, the rivalry games are Centennial, Oñate, Cruces, Mayfield. It's not just one school. So in order to be fair and host those, we have to have them at NMSU, which is a larger facility. So why not utilize the Field of Dreams for the youth groups, the youth teams, to be able to say, hey, I got to play at the high school stadium. So this is where I don't believe as a city we are utilizing our state enough to open up those fields or those gyms.
Gotcha. So what can we do to bring more? What other family type events can we have? I know dog parks are something that people use. Do you support increasing those as well or adding more of those?
Yes, definitely. So when I'm talking about family, I'm not talking about just human being children. I know there's a lot of people that do not have human children, but they have their four-legged little furry little babies. And I have four-legged furry little babies. So yeah, so we need to do whatever it is. Once again, we are taxpayers. We want what's best for our children. We want what's best for our grandchildren. Well, a person that doesn't have a human baby, but they have their four-legged furry baby, it's like, you know what? And those four-legged furry babies, they're entitled to rights just like the rest of the people in Las Cruces, because their parents, their dog owners, are taxpayers, and they would like to see more things. People have talked about they would like more things for their pets to do as well.
Okay, we're running quick before a break, but before we do that, what about bicycles and sidewalks, a bicycle-friendly community? Are you supportive of increasing or being a bicycle-friendly community?
So the city of Las Cruces is actually looking at doing road diets. These road diets are actually when you take a 4-lane and turn it into a 3-lane, one going, one coming, and one in the middle to turn, but yet you have so that you can have your sidewalks and your bike paths. I am interested in being a bike-friendly community, but at what expense? For example, the next one that's going to happen is right there on Idaho, Avenida Mesilla / Idaho, South Main Street up to Bounce. That is a 2-lane going, 2-lane coming. They want to turn that into one going north, one coming south, and one in the middle to turn, so that we could put sidewalks and bike paths. So I went to a meeting. I happened to catch wind that they were having this meeting. And I was like, okay, so I asked the question, at what expense? I said, have we done any studies? How many bikes actually come down that road? They said, oh yeah, we did a 6-week study. We actually had 1 bicycle come down that road. And I was like, okay. And then I said, and how many cars utilize South Main Street there probably on a daily basis? They said 20,000. So once again, to be a bike-friendly community, I think we need to look at, being bike-friendly, but yet at the expense of, people's cars and their time. So yeah, this is something we need to look at and actually say, okay, why can't, I know back in the day we used to have where bicycles used to share the roads. They didn't have their own specific lane. And I know when I'm driving, if I'm in a 2-lane and I see a bicycle, I automatically go to the inner lane just because I don't know if that bicycle, bicyclists might hit a bump or a rock and I don't want to hit them. So I'm trying to be really careful when I see cyclists. So yes.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break from People Not Politics with Gina Montoya Ortega, and when we come back, we'll be talking about veterans issues.
plan.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey guys, not all.
Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
Hello and welcome back to People Not Politics. My name is Rusty Pierce and I'm hosting this episode with Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. We just recently spoke about road diets and the expenses that they cause to the city. Gina is in favor of bicycles and being a bicycle-friendly community, but not necessarily at the cost of a lane of traffic. So Gina, now that we're back, we're going to talk about veterans and their issues. So I know we've been talking, knocking on doors, and we've spoken to many veterans. What are some of the things that they're telling you they want or they need?
So as we're canvassing, we are talking to people and they are really concerned about the veterans. My dad served, my son currently serves, my brothers have served. I have many relatives that have served this country. And the people are concerned that we have over 250 homeless veterans. How can we as a city allow that? These are the people that went and gave their lives for our country, and this is a treatment that we give them. So people are comparing it to that we have the refugees or the asylum seekers, and as a city we reacted very quickly to take care of that. People are saying, oh, how can we do that? How can we not take care of our own? Charity begins at home. That's the way that we were raised, to know that it was an old saying back in the day that you got to take care of your own. I believe that, when somebody needs help, we need to take care of them, whether they're an asylum seeker, whether they're a refugee seeker. I don't know what it is to come from a country, and I guess I'm very blessed that I live here in the United States, that I don't have to worry about my life and having to run to seek, safety for my family. So people are saying, but how can we not take care of our veterans? I was a student at Vista College 2 years ago in the cosmetology program, and part of what we did is we actually had an event. The American Legion on Madrid had an event where they actually provided showers. They had clothing. It was new clothes, not new, it was used clothing, but it was clean, that they provided to these veterans. They came and reached out to our cosmetology program that I was a student of and asked if we would be willing to come give free haircuts, which we did. I was able to give many of those veterans a haircut. And I saw that they were able to go, Walgreens, I think, had like a little thing where they could get like some aspirin. Like I said, people giving them clothes. So once again, why aren't we taking care of these veterans? So I believe that as a city, we need to look at starting to take care of those veterans. Recently, somebody just sent me an article on a place in Georgia that has developed this small, tiny home community for their veterans. I know that the city of Las Cruces, we own a lot of property, so why aren't we utilizing that property to help the veterans, to build these small, tiny homes? I know a lot of the veterans get benefits, so their benefits would help offset those costs. But once again, if it's a veteran, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't qualify, but there are veterans that don't qualify for certain benefits. So why aren't we using the Telshore Fund? The Telshore Fund is for humanitarian needs. This is a fund that was used to help the asylum seekers or the refugees. So people are saying, how come we don't have money to help our veterans? So in my eyes, this would be money that we could say, we're going to take the Telshore Fund and invest and help our veterans.
Okay, so Is that similar to like a sustainable living type environment? Is that what you're envisioning? Or are we just talking tiny homes stacked on one on another and each have their own individual electricity and water and stuff like that? What specifically are we talking about?
Yeah, so each one of the little tiny homes that they did show, it was a small, it literally had it was like one little room, but yet it had a little room that was separate, like its bathroom. So you walked in and right there was the little bed. They had a little place for them to put their closet and stuff. They actually took advantage of storing stuff underneath their beds. Then they had like a little kitchen area, not a full stove, but they had like a small fridge. And then they had their facility, a bathroom and a shower. So yes, this is something that a veteran could come and stay. You know, a lot of times people are so down and out that they can't find the end. But yet, you know, maybe this is a veteran that could start in there and say, hey, I have a place, and probably promote up to something else when they qualify for all kinds of VA help. They could qualify maybe for another home. This would be a temporary housing, but if it was a home that a veteran had to live in, why it's a home. It's a home. They have their bed. They have their shower.
So it's temporary. Does that mean the city would own the property that the vets would essentially pay to own in the long run, or how would that work?
Well, I believe that this would be something that could be temporary, but if it could be something that's permanent, maybe there is those veterans, and these ones did show that these are veterans that made this community was theirs. So it's property obviously donated by the city for the veterans to use. For example, Tent City that we have over there off of Amador, that is city property. So once again, if we can do this to help, you know, veterans would probably be more comfortable around other veterans. You know, they know what the PTSD syndromes are, whereas they're going to not experience the same syndromes that a regular homeless person that wasn't in the military. Military people, no matter, even when they become homeless, they still, you know, tuck the corners of their sheet. They have those things that they were taught in the military. So they would probably be more comfortable around other veterans. I believe this would actually turn into something that, yeah, you may have the veterans that would have to live there permanently, but I believe this would turn into something that, you know what, it's a starter home for a veteran that would probably end up in a bigger home.
And so this would be new construction, essentially, making tiny homes. Would we also consider making them energy efficient and sustainable living, such as gardens and stuff like that, so they can eat on their own property?
Yes, and I think that would be a perfect example to start. I know people are talking about Green Deal all the time, you know, solar panels. So this would be probably a small community that began, you know, because it is a smaller area, to actually utilize solar panels, utilize planting their vegetables. I know a lot of the veterans, they're very proud. They're proud people, and, you know, they've earned that right. And they would probably take pride in, you know what, I planted that garden, or I grew my own vegetables, or whatever it may be, because a lot of times their minds are still preoccupied by the experience that they experienced, whether they were in war or the trauma that they experienced while serving. So this would actually be something to help entertain or detract their mind from the horrible things that they've experienced or encountered.
Do you think that it would be possible to have a net positive energy if we put enough solar panels and utilized all the technology that we have out there today, wind, solar, and so forth? Do you think we could make that so where electricity paid for itself?
Definitely. I know there's a lot of people that currently have solar panels, and they have paid for themselves in the long run. So yeah, this would be an area, and because like you're looking at a person that might have like a 3,000 square foot home, where you're looking at these tiny homes, how many of those tiny homes would actually be able to go into one of those homes? So with the benefits that the veteran would be able to get, this would be money that we could, yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that this being sustained by solar power, wind power.
And that power be provided back to the city again.
Yes.
Yeah, so that we don't have to spend so much money for these sustainable living environments. So you mentioned one thing, but how would we pay for this?
So once again, yes, we're going to look at every opportunity that veterans get benefits. Most of the veterans get benefits. So we need to make sure that our veterans that are homeless are being able to utilize all the benefits that they have coming to them. If it comes down to, you know what, maybe there's a veteran that doesn't qualify for benefits, but I very rarely see that. But why wouldn't we use the Telshore money? The Telshore Fund is money that is used for humanitarian aid. How much more humanitarian aid can you possibly need or give when you have a homeless veteran?
Gotcha. So what else when you're talking to veterans and we're canvassing on the street, what else are you hearing from veterans that they would like? Homelessness obviously is a big issue for them. What else?
We have a lot of veterans that when they were in the military or even just in their regular life, that they had jobs. And because of their disabilities, because of their trauma maybe that they went through, they would like to be able to have a job. You know, something to do. A lot of these veterans are very talented. I've met several that can do woodwork. I've met some that are can do metal work. I've met some, many veterans that have a lot of hidden talents that we don't know because we've just shoved them aside, not paying attention to their needs or to try to help them, that we're not listening to their needs. There's a lot of things that veterans can do. They're very handy, many veterans with their hands. They can, weld, they can paint, they can...
They're very, very educated.
Yes.
Technology-wise, sensor-wise, all sorts of different IT fields. They're obviously very educated in. So certainly, I could see them being useful to the city. Would we cater to them, or would we offer them a job over somebody else? How would we incentivize hiring veterans to get them those jobs once they get back home?
Well, I know that once again that veterans are given preference in a lot of situations. So we need to go ahead and if that's what it takes, let's look and see what we can do to help them. Once again, I'm running to be the mayor of all the people of Las Cruces, the veterans, whether they're homeless, the homeless people, whether they're homeless, a regular taxpayer like myself and you. We need to look at these things. But you know what? There are a lot of things that veterans are given preference. And we as a city, we do need to look to see what can we do to help them get back on their feet and start becoming the person that they are.
Okay, we've got just over a minute left, so I'd like, is there anything else making this city a family-friendly city that you'd like to talk about in the last few seconds?
Once again, I know that our children don't pay taxes, they don't vote, but they're the future. We need to really look at making this city a family-friendly city and giving those children the opportunities at life that a lot of them may not be able to experience. They're not as blessed as some of us. Their parents are maybe on hard times. So we need to look at making this city a family-friendly city to give these children the opportunities to look at, say, you know what? Life is worth it. You do have hope. So definitely, let's reach out and try to make a family-friendly city so that our children and our youth do have something to look forward to.
Excellent. Thank you. Please don't forget, early voting starts October 8th, and that this will be the first time Las Cruces is using ranked choice voting. You can vote at the County Government Center early. Remember not to overvote, which is voting for one candidate in first position, second position, third position, or any number of positions other than just one. Thank you for watching People Not Politics. My name is Rusty Pierce, the host, and Gina Montoya Ortega is the candidate.
I'm Gina Ortega, and I approve this message. Vivian Fritz, Treasurer.